All right, let's talk about homelessness in Los Angeles. It's a bit like climate change. Everyone knows it's a problem, but we're all hoping someone else will fix it while we binge watch Netflix. But here's the thing, it's not going away. In fact, it's getting worse. We're talking about tens of thousands of people sleeping on the streets every night. That's more people than you'd find at a Taylor Swift concert, except instead of screaming fans, we've got screaming societal issues. These aren't just nameless, faceless statistics. These are real people with real stories. They're veterans, families, individuals battling mental illness or addiction, and domestic violence survivors. So buckle up, because we're about to take a deep dive into the homelessness crisis in Los Angeles. It's going to be a wild ride, but hey, at least it's not as depressing as watching the news. Oh wait, this is the news. Well, shit. Let's start with some numbers, shall we? Because nothing says we've got a problem quite like cold, hard statistics. According to the 2020 Greater Los Angeles Homeless Count, there were 66,436 people experiencing homelessness in Los Angeles County. That's more people than the entire population of Scranton, Pennsylvania. That number represents a 12.7% increase from 2019. While most of us were arguing about whether pineapple belongs on pizza, the homeless population in LA grew by over 7,000 people in just 1 year. And that was before the pandemic hit. Of those 66,436 people, about 72% were unsheltered. That means they were living on the streets, in cars, or in makeshift shelters. In one of the wealthiest cities, in one of the wealthiest countries in the world. About 20% of the homeless population in LA are children. About 16% are over 62 years old. And about 3,902 veterans were homeless in LA County in 2020. Now that we've thoroughly depressed ourselves with statistics, let's look at why this is happening. The reasons are complex and multifaceted, involving a mix of economic, social, and systemic issues. Because contrary to popular belief, people don't usually choose to live on the streets for the fantastic view of passing traffic. There are deeper, more troubling reasons behind this crisis. First up, the housing shortage. This is a critical issue that has been escalating over the years. Los Angeles has a housing crisis that makes the hunt for a PS5 look like a walk in the park. The scarcity of affordable housing is a major driver of homelessness. The city simply doesn't have enough affordable housing units to meet demand. This shortage forces many families and individuals into precarious living situations. According to a report by the California Housing Partnership, Louisiana County needs more than 500,000 new affordable rental homes to meet the current demand. This gap is staggering and continues to grow. Economic disparities play a huge role too. The wealth gap in Los Angeles is one of the widest in the nation. In a city where the median home price is over $700,000 and the median rent for a one-bedroom apartment is around $2,250, it's not hard to see how people can fall into homelessness. The high cost of living is unsustainable for many. Mental health issues and substance abuse also contribute significantly to homelessness. These issues often go untreated due to lack of access to healthcare. About 25% of homeless individuals in LA have a serious mental illness, which makes it incredibly difficult for them to maintain stable housing. And many others struggle with addiction. Substance abuse can lead to job loss, broken relationships, and ultimately homelessness. People of color are disproportionately affected by homelessness in LA, facing systemic barriers that make it harder to escape poverty. With black people making up 34% of the homeless population, despite being only 8% of the county's population. This disparity highlights the racial inequities that persist in our society. And for many women and children, homelessness is the result of fleeing domestic violence. They often have nowhere else to turn, making the streets their only option. Section 4, Current Efforts. What's being done to combat homelessness? Now, before you start thinking that everyone in LA is just sitting around twiddling their thumbs while this crisis unfolds, let me assure you there are efforts being made. Various organizations and community groups are actively working to address this issue. Let's start with Measure H. In 2017, Louisiana County voters approved this quarter-cent sales tax increase to fund homeless services and prevention. It was expected to raise about $355 million annually for 10 years. Then there's Proposition HHH, a $1.2 billion bond measure passed by LA City voters in 2016 to build 10,000 units of supportive housing over 10 years. This initiative aims to provide long-term solutions. Supportive housing combines affordable housing with on-site social services, creating a holistic approach to tackling homelessness. There are also numerous outreach programs and temporary shelters working on the ground, providing immediate relief and support. Organizations like the Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority, or LAHSA, coordinate these efforts, sending teams out to engage with homeless individuals, offer services, and try to connect them with housing. These teams work tirelessly to make a difference. Supportive services include everything from job training programs to mental health services to substance abuse treatment. These services are crucial for long-term stability, because getting someone into housing is only half the battle. Keeping them there is the other half. Continuous support is essential. It's like giving someone a fish versus teaching them to fish. Except in this case, the fish is a stable living situation, and the fishing rod is a complex network of social services. This network is designed to provide comprehensive support, ensuring individuals can maintain their housing and improve their quality of life. Section 5, Roadblocks and Hurdles, Challenges Facing Homeless Initiatives. Now you might be thinking, well, if there are all these efforts, why isn't the problem solved? Excellent question, hypothetical reader. The reality is that the issue of homelessness is incredibly complex and multifaceted. The answer is that there are more obstacles to solving homelessness than there are in an American Ninja Warrior course. These obstacles come in many forms, from societal attitudes to logistical nightmares. Let's start with everyone's favorite acronym, NIMBY. That stands for Not in My Backyard. And it's the battle cry of people who agree that homelessness is a problem but don't want the solution anywhere near them. This attitude can significantly delay or even halt the development of much-needed shelters and services. Then there's the funding gap. Despite measures like H and HH, there's still not enough money to fully address the scale of the problem. Funding is often piecemeal and inconsistent, making it difficult to sustain long-term initiatives. And let's not forget that building housing in LA is expensive. The cost of land, labor, and materials can be astronomical. The average cost per unit for HHH-funded housing projects, over $500,000. This high cost makes it challenging to build enough units to meet the demand. Coordination is another major challenge. With multiple agencies, non-profits, and levels of government involved, getting everyone on the same page is about as easy as herding cats. Each entity has its own priorities and methods, which can lead to inefficiencies and overlaps. And while everyone's arguing about who's in charge of what, people are still sleeping on the streets. The bureaucratic red tape can be a significant barrier to timely and effective action. It's not enough to just build housing or create programs. They need to be maintained and funded long-term. Without ongoing support, even the best initiatives can falter, leaving vulnerable individuals without the help they need. Section 6. Housing. First, the push for affordable living spaces. All right, now that we've thoroughly depressed ourselves with all the challenges, let's talk solutions. First and foremost, we need more affordable housing. And I don't mean affordable in the way that real estate agents use it, where it still costs more than your yearly salary. I mean actually affordable. One approach that's gaining traction is the housing first model. The idea is simple. Provide homeless individuals with housing as quickly as possible, and then work on addressing other issues like job training or addiction treatment. But it's not just about building new housing. We also need to preserve the affordable housing we already have. This means things like rent control, eviction protections, and programs to help low-income homeowners stay in their homes. And let's not forget about creative housing solutions. Tiny homes, converted hotels, modular housing. These aren't just trendy HGTV shows, they're potential solutions to the housing crisis. Section 7, Beyond Shelter, Strengthening Support Services. Now I know what you're thinking, John, you handsome devil. Surely providing housing isn't enough to solve this crisis. And you're right, hypothetical flatterer. Housing is crucial, but it's just one piece of the puzzle. Let's start with mental health services. We need more accessible, affordable mental health care. Next up, job training and employment services. We need programs that help people develop skills, find jobs, and keep those jobs. Substance abuse treatment is another crucial service. We need more accessible, affordable treatment options. And we need to approach addiction as a health issue, not a criminal one. And let's not forget about case management. This is where a social worker or case manager works one-on-one with individuals to help them navigate the complex web of services and support they need.